drill down to get feedback about students saying, yes, I feel more engaged with what I'm doing in my school. I feel like this is of interest to me. You know, too often we don't always think about we're learning from dropouts, for example. When I talk to students and they tell me school is boring, it doesn't seem relevant, and so I just tune out. And I go to some classes because I like it, it's engaging, it's fun, and I skip the others. Kids tell me that in Philly, just like they told me that in North Carolina. And so I think that success will look like attendance, a high attendance rate or an appropriate attendance rate. It will look like parents saying we support this initiative and want more of it. And then third, student feedback will say that this is something that we think is good for us.
Thank you. Board Member Stern.
My fellow board members have explored and asked my questions, so I will let the superintendent rest.
Gracias.
Board Member Wilkins.
Yeah, I appreciate, the reports and all the work that's gone into launching a new initiative. Those are heavy lifts. They're never easy, and hopefully we can make the commitment to the programs in collaboration with the city so that they do serve the benefit of the community in the way that we anticipate or hope. One thing I'm interested in terms of student attendance is finer, more granular information about student movement. I'm concerned that not only that kids are coming to school, but that, what's happening to them during the course of the year. Are they starting out at one school, transferring to another school? There are a lot of things that could be indications that students are disengaged. And at the end of the school year, during the school year, when they, stop coming, it shouldn't be a surprise because we've been able to track, where they are throughout the school year. So, I think tracking this information is important. I think it'll help us develop solutions for children. We're gonna find a lot. Transportation doesn't work for them. Their families have challenges. The housing is not secure. But I'd also like to gather information, learning about the movement of children during the school year.
That is on our list. We'll be certain to keep the board updated on everything that we're learning. And we'll do that on a regular basis relative to the transients issue. That is a significant issue here, as you know, President Emeritus. I do want to also quickly just note, President Streeter, that this week, Dr. Dawson has facilitated meetings with some 300 teachers. I think he's meeting with 200. We're going to tag team next week. He's going off to meet with 200 teachers. I'm going to spend a lot of time with the PFT next week, particularly our incoming president, Art Steinberg. We'll continue to build that relationship and support and get advisement from Dr. Robin Cooper and our other unions. It's not just PFT and CASA. Our other unions will be at the table with us. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we're sure excited to do it. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to begin by congratulating everyone involved. I know that a lot of work was done within the district, and we need to celebrate collaboration as well. I believe our Deputy Chief of Education, Sharon Ward, is here, but I'm assuming, they're standing up a new administration, delivering, working with the district as it relates to this topic. I know that was not any small lift. I see a bigger story flowing through this. I think it all started with the Sayre Pool, trying to figure out how the School District of Philadelphia can collaborate and be better partners with our city partners. And for those of us, and the way that, and with the work that had to be done with the MOU, for example, and trying to figure out how is the city and the district going to work and collaborate in one space. I think that was part of the story of kind of laying the groundwork for a superintendent who's also very thoughtful about engaging with partners, unions, people that people have said in the past you can't work with, but obviously with our new administration. So I just wanted to put that on the record that I think that this is the beginning of an optimistic time that we're going to have in Philadelphia so we can further fuel the education of Renaissance in the city of Philadelphia. So I'm excited to see where this leads. My question is around, and tell me if I'm wrong, how extended day out of school time can help influence student attendance. I'm hearing, from my lived experience, from the mayor's kind of comments about this, other board members who've talked about conditions for success might not be things such as facilities. It could be a parent not having the ability to have childcare or a safe place, enriching place for their student to be throughout the summer or before and after school. To their best ability, can you talk about how this pilot and where it could lead can actually help influence in a positive way one of the conditions of success as you discussed, which is student attendance?
Thank you, President Streeter. At the very beginning of this pilot, we are just getting our feet in the water, getting acclimated to providing more for our students. And I don't think there's anybody in Philadelphia who should say our kids need less. We need more. Now, once we get into this, we get good at it, and we build a demand among our community, our neighborhoods, and if people embrace it, we absolutely downstream in future years, can use this as a strategy to improve student achievement if we do the following. Number one, make sure our kids have highly qualified, well-supported, stable teachers. Number two, make sure that our kids have highly qualified, well-supported, stable principals. Number three, make sure our kids have the very best standards-aligned and culturally relevant curriculum in the classroom. Number four, make sure that our kids improve their regular attendance to upwards to close to 90%. And if we partner with parents as equal partners, year-round extended education is that extra push, that extra icing on the cake that gives kids more. The best example of this is the Harlem Children's Zone, Mr. President, where they've all but closed the opportunity gap with children who live in public housing in Harlem, New York. So it took them 20 years to get there, and I know that we don't have 20 years, but that's what it can look like downstream.
Thank you. So with that, board members, we're going to move on in our agenda. We will now move on to tonight's presentation. I would like to invite Marielle, hope I'm not saying your name wrong, Ziegler, Interim Chief of the Charter Schools Office, to come to the table to deliver the presentation. And I believe Mr. Peng Chao is on leave right now and will be returning.
Good evening, Board of Education. Marielle Ziegler on behalf of the Charter Schools Office. Tonight, we are here to discuss the revised and resubmitted new charter application for Global Leadership Academy International Charter High School. We want to remind the Board of Education and the public of the 6 areas in our evaluation: academic program, organizational capacity, community engagement, finance, facilities, and existing operator or affiliate section is essentially a section of the application that asks applicants to share with us the experiences that they have had leading other charter schools if applicable. The Charter School Office conducts the new charter application evaluation using a combination of internal subject matter experts as well as colleagues across the district and the Commonwealth. As a reminder to the Board of Education and to the public, the Charter Schools Office published a 58-page evaluation report, but has not and will not provide a recommendation as to whether the new charter application should be approved or denied. In the following slides, we'll be providing a summary of the evaluation report, but again, it will not include a recommendation of whether this evaluation should be approved or denied. Thank you. So the new charter application process and associated deadlines are largely dictated by the Pennsylvania Charter School Law. As part of the 2023-2024 new charter application cycle, the Board of Education received an application for the proposed Global Leadership International Charter High School. The board voted to deny and adopted an adjudication in support of the denial on February 29, 2024. As permitted by the Pennsylvania Charter School Law, the applicant has revised and resubmitted their application on May 13, 2024. Pennsylvania Charter School Law states that the board shall consider the revised and resubmitted application at the first board meeting occurring at least 45 days after the receipt of the revised application by the board. The 45th day is today, June 27, 2024, which is why we are presenting the revised and resubmitted application to you today for action. Global Leadership International Charter High School intends on locating at 5210-5218 North Broad Street, which is at the intersection of West Duncannon Avenue and North Broad Street, just south of Einstein Hospital on North Broad Street. The building they intend to use is the former Cristo Rey building. The target community are students living in West and North Philadelphia, as there is a proposed enrollment preference for students matriculating from Global Leadership Academy Charter School and Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey. Other than these proposed preferences, the applicant proposes a citywide enrollment. The applicant intends on opening in the fall of 2024 with 150 students in grade 9. And intends on being at scale in year 4 with 600 students in grades 9 through 12. It is important to note that while the applicant has proposed to begin in the fall of 2024, they may request to work with the School District of Philadelphia to defer the opening to a later date, such as the fall of 2025. As mentioned in the previous slide, the proposed high school is located at 5210-5218 North Broad Street. The proposed building is located close to the Broad and Olney Transportation Center. When looking at this map, it's important to note the school's location in relation to other high schools in the area. Notably, if you are living at the location of the proposed charter school, the closest high school is 1.5 miles away, not including criteria-based high schools. The applicant has made revisions to their application, which we will share in the following evaluation summary slides. Academic program. In comparison to the 2023-24 original application, the 23-24 revised application includes updates to the academic program section. The revised application demonstrates that the proposed charter school would meet all grade level requirements and is in alignment with Pennsylvania state standards. The science curricular materials provided are now aligned to the STEEL standard, which will take effect beginning in school year 2025-26. The applicant proposes that the CEO will serve as the acting head of school or principal for the first 2 years. But based on our knowledge, the applicant has not yet identified a CEO. Organizational capacity. In comparison to the 2023-24 original application, the revised application includes updates to this section as well. The applicant still proposes to open in August of 2024, but as mentioned before, recognizing that this is approximately 2 months away, it is important to note that historically, applicants have worked with the School District of Philadelphia to defer their opening date to account for the difficulties of opening on such a short timeline. The 12-member founding coalition includes a combination of current and former staff from Global Academies, Global Leadership Academy Charter School, and Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey, along with proposed board members and partners. Most notably, Global Academies is no longer identified as a vendor providing services to the proposed charter school. Community engagement. In comparison to the 23-24 original application, the 23-24 revised application includes updates to this section. As we stated earlier, the applicant expects that many of their students will live in North and West Philadelphia based upon their proposed admissions preferences. The applicant included intent to enroll forms for 144 potential students and over 200 letters of support. Additionally, the applicant has held community meetings with local residents to discuss various matters. Finance. In comparison to the 23-24 original application, the 23-24 revised application also includes updates to this section. The misalignments between budget and the narrative related to rental costs and staffing have been corrected. The applicant provides evidence of the ability to manage the financial aspects of the proposed charter school. And Charter Choices continues to be identified as the contracted financial management services provider. Facilities. In comparison to the 23-24 original application, the 23-24 revised application did not include significant updates to this section. As previously shared, the applicant intends on locating in the former Cristo Rey building, which appears to be suitable for the proposed grade levels and enrollment. In year one, the proposed charter school would rent space for grade 9, and then as they grow, they would have the option to expand. While the proposed facility is in a different neighborhood from Global Leadership Academy Charter School and Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey, the applicant notes that the location on North Broad Street is easily accessible by public transportation. Thank you. And in comparison to the 23-24 original application, the 23-24 revised application includes updates to the existing operator, manager, or affiliate section of their application. It is important that we are clear that the Charter Schools Office maintains its position that the applicant is affiliated with Global Leadership Academy Charter School and Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey. I do apologize in advance for reading directly from the slide, but board members, it is important to be very precise and specific with this matter. In the 23-24 revised application, as well as in the 3 previous submissions, the applicant continues to take the position that it is not an existing operator, manager, or affiliate with other charter schools. For the following reasons, the Charter Schools Office maintains its position that the proposed school is affiliated with existing charter schools, Global Leadership Academy Charter School, and Huey. The name features Global Leadership Academy. The proposed charter school will rely on the global model. The founding coalition includes current and former directors, staff, and stakeholders from Global Leadership Academy Charter School and Huey. The proposed charter school is described as an extension of the vision of the current leader of Global Leadership Academy Charter School, who has successfully restructured and transformed both district and charter schools into thriving, well-functioning learning communities. And the proposed charter school would have an enrollment preference for students matriculating from Global Leadership Academy Charter School and from Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey. Global Leadership Academy Charter School's charter was renewed in 2004, 2009, 2014, and 2019, and the Charter Schools Office has recommended Global Leadership Academy Charter School for renewal in the current 23-24 cycle. Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey's Charter was last renewed in 2021. Board members, that concludes our presentation. I welcome the board members' questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ziegler. Board members, we will begin with your comments or questions. For each round of questions, each board member will have 2 minutes to ask their questions. Ms. Ziegler will then have 2 minutes to respond. For the first round, do board members have any questions related to Independence? Actually, sorry, related to Global Leadership Academy Charter High School? I will start with Ms. Gassim,
I have no questions.
Ms. Watson, Board Member Watson,
No questions.
Board Member Andrews,
I have one question. Clearly, the revised application includes members of the founding coalition for GLA and GLA Southwest and establishes enrollment preferences for the students coming from these two schools. Given these similarities, right, that we see with these two existing charter schools, what does the applicant propose they will do differently to increase student academic achievement at the new proposed high school?
Thank you for the question, Board Member Andrews. So within the application, the board member describes the model for the high school and what they're going to do at the high school level and does not specifically address how they are going to really target the needs of the students matriculating from the two schools.
Board Member Cubbage,
No questions.
Board Member Harper,
I understand that the school intends to open this coming August. Has the applicant identified a school leader? Is there a plan in place to ensure this leader has the capabilities to support the school's operations and August 24th opening?
Thank you for the question, Board Member Harper. Based upon our knowledge, the applicant has not yet identified a CEO, but as mentioned earlier, if approved, they may request to work with the School District of Philadelphia to defer their opening to a later date.
okay. Vice President Novales.
Just one question. Based on your report, you stated that the applicant continues to take the position that it is not an existing operator, manager, or affiliate. Yet, there's a lot of things like the name, the program, board members, leader. I'm just thinking that's your observation, but what have you heard from the school as they argue that they're not affiliated? Because I'm just very interested in understanding that.
Yes, thank you for the question, Vice President Novales. Can you please go back a slide? Thank you. Oh. So thinking about that as Logan is updating the slide, the applicant is proposing that they are not an existing operator, that this is a new high school. And because it's a new brick and mortar high school, they are not affiliated with the two schools as mentioned previously in the slide, as well as, thank you, as well as Global Academies. That is their position.
Thank you.
Board Member Jones,
No questions.
Board Member Stern,
No questions.
Board Member Wilkerson,
Mr. President, I have a question. Will our comments from the previous consideration of this school's application be incorporated into the record for this consideration as well? Some of the questions I asked last time about academic performance, for example, I think are relevant here. And if we're not incorporating those records, or if they won't be part of the consideration, I think it's probably worthwhile discussing some of that.
yeah, you should go over them again.
Okay, I have concerns. I do believe that this is the same operator, and one of the pieces of information that I think is most important is academic performance of the schools that it currently manages. What can you tell us about that academic performance?
Thank you for the question, Board Member Wilkerson. So thinking about proficiency outcomes and proficiency rates, on the slide before you, This is for Global Leadership Academy Charter School. And the table, as I will help orient you, because there are a lot of data points here, shows the proficiency rates based upon year and subject matter. So specifically, again, this is for Global Leadership Academy Charter School. When you look at the table, PSSA, ELA is on the left, math is center, and science is to the right. This table shows the performance of GLA as compared to the district, similar schools groups, as well as the rank within their similar school group. So to help orient, if you first look at 2017-18 PSSA ELA on the top left, in that year, the students at GLA who took this exam, there were 40% of students who scored proficient or advanced in comparison to the district, where there was a 37% proficiency rate, and within the similar schools group, a 46% proficiency rate. In that year, there were 10 schools in Global Leadership Academy Charter School Similar Schools Group. GLA ranked 6 out of 10. So their proficiency rate was around the middle of their Similar Schools Group. So now if you look at 2022 and 23 outcomes, in ELA, the proficiency rate for GLA was 19%, in comparison to the district proficiency rate of 34% and the Similar Schools Group proficiency rate of 35%. They ranked 12 out of 12 of their Similar Schools Group. In math, the GLA proficiency rate was 4%, in comparison to the district's proficiency rate of 21%, the Similar Schools Group of 15%, and their rank in their Similar Schools Group was 12 out of 12. For Global Leadership Academy Southwest at Huey, if you look again, it's oriented the same way. In 2022 and 23 for PSSA ELA, Huey's proficiency rate was 15% in comparison with the district's proficiency rate of 34%, the Similar Schools Group proficiency rate of 24%, and their rank was 24 out of 31 in their Similar Schools Group. In PSSA Math, Huey's proficiency rate was 2%, in comparison to the district's proficiency rate of 21%, the Similar Schools Group proficiency rate of 9%, and they were ranked 29 out of 31. I do think it's very important to also look at growth in addition to achievement. So when we look at growth for Global Leadership Academy Charter School, you can see that this school has generally met the growth standard as set by the state, with a couple of exceptions. In 2017-18, they did not meet the standard for science in grade 4, as well as in 18-19 science grade 4. And in 21-22 in math, they did not meet that growth standard. Very similarly, for Global Leadership Academy Charter School Southwest at Huey, they generally met the growth standard as set by the state. They did not meet the standard again in science grade 4 for 17 and 18, or in 18 to 19. And the data was suppressed due to the number of test takers for science grade 4 in 21-22. But again, I do think it's important that we look at both achievement and growth.
Thanks for that information. The other thing that has come to my attention is that there's some financial challenges that the school has. I know that there have been some credit rating issues with some of the global leadership schools. Can you comment on that?
So based upon our understanding, I do believe there was a notice of default that was issued, but they're working with their bondholders to clear that up.
Is there any explanation from the schools how that could happen at a time when there's all the ESSER funds available to schools? I know that the district received over $1.4 billion. I think I know that our brick and mortar charter schools have received over $770 million. At a time like this, it's hard to believe that we could have schools defaulting or at risk of defaulting on bonds in light of all the resources that are out there. Is there an explanation about what's happened?
I do think that there has been conversation as to why it may have happened based upon who they were contracted with their financial services. But as you saw in the presentation, they have identified a new financial management service provider to be working with Charter Choices.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
I have a question about how many of the students at the two schools that would be feeder schools for this high school are lifers or analogous to lifers. And when I say lifers, students who start at the school earlier in their careers and stay until 8th grade. Because if the growth numbers are what they are, one would assume that student achievement at some point will be higher than what it is. And I do share concerns about the student achievement at the two feeder schools as well. So if you can answer that question.
Yes,
that would help me.
absolutely. Thank you for the question, President Streeter. So as we saw before, Global Leadership Academy Charter School, for example, serves students from kindergarten through grade 8. So they have 9 years working with these students. And so if the proposed school is going to be a feeder, they're not only going to have to teach grade level content, but they will also have to accelerate student achievement. So there is work that is going to need to be done.
Okay. Go ahead, Vice President.
So based on that answer, did the application include a plan to address the students that are coming from the feeder schools?
The application included a general high school plan, but did not specifically address how they are going to meet the needs of the students matriculating from those two schools.
Those are all my questions. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Ziegler. I see Councilmember Jones from City Councilmatic District 4 is here. Just give us a moment. I know you want to speak. We're going to give you an opportunity to speak very soon, sir. Before we begin with calling our first speaker, I would like to acknowledge the written testimony we received for this meeting. Board Member Whitney Jones, please share information on the written testimony that has been incorporated into this evening's record.
Thank you, President Streeter. The board received 3 pieces of written testimony in advance of tonight's meeting. If you would like to read these in full, please go to our website to view our electronic agenda, where the written testimony is posted in full with the rest of this evening's materials. I will group comments about the written testimony by subject matter. Lisa Haver submitted comments urging the board to reject GLA's application for a high school, stating that the board has rejected the high school application 3 times and nothing other than a few minor changes in the application has changed. Cecilia Thompson wrote in objecting to aspects of the Intermediate Unit 26 meeting. Joe Lynn, a foster parent to a refugee teen, is asking the district to facilitate safe environments for students to speak up against injustices of oppressed people.
Thank you, Board Member Jones. Ms. Rauch, please reshare our speaker policy, and then I'll call Councilmember Jones up. Councilmember Jones to the dais.
Thank you, President Streeter. On behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to thank members of the public for input on school district issues and matters, including those under consideration tonight. Respect each speaker's time. We will be strictly enforcing the policy and operating guidelines regarding public meetings. The full policy and procedures can be found on the board's website within the policy manual. When I call your name, please come to the table toward the front of the room and begin your testimony if you are speaking in person. And if you're speaking remotely, please unmute your line. And if you wish to be seen, turn on your video and then begin your testimony. After Councilmember Jones speaks, I will call in groups of 5 so people know in what order they'll be speaking. Thank you.
Councilmember Jones. Please press the button. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Councilman Curtis Jones Jr. I represent the 4th Councilmatic District in West Philly, North Philly, Roxborough, East Falls. I have an eclectic district, and I regularly meet with all of the schools in my district, we have a 7 a.m. Monday morning roll call during regular school hours. I've been to every one of my schools, every one of them, and I judge them differently, maybe than you do. I use my 5 senses, 4 of which I use. I go in and I see what I see and hear what I hear and smell what I smell and touch some of the kids that I come in contact with. When I go in there, when I go into global, I feel something I think special. I've been there when an auditorium of kids that were being selected for that school, the ones that were knighted and robed and they jumped up in joy like they hit the lottery. The ones that could not get in went out in tears like they did something wrong. I judge schools by that. I judge them by the number of parents that call my office trying to get their kids in another school. And I judge them also by the number of calls, can you help me get in global? These may not be the way you judge things, but I trust my judgment on those kinds of determinants. And I will say this, when I looked at the comparisons, I know you weren't talking about some of the other schools right around there. And you could not be comparing them apples to apples, in all honesty. I remember in the mayor's office with Mayor Kenny, and there was an individual, is that my warning? Okay. All right. We were talking, and I asked if he had a child, and he had 2 choices, one school, which I will not determine, and going in global. Now, I'm a politician. I know when people are double talking me, guaranteed. And I said, which school would you go into? And it was a Well, if the sun rose in the west and set in the east, maybe I would figure out. I said, no, you wouldn't. And we would be honest about it. And the facts are, that's a good school. I judge it by the parents' response. I judge it by the fact that they don't try, parents don't try to get their kids out of that school. And I've been here, I feel like the Truman Show. This is my 3rd time coming back here. And unlike others that testified, I try to be fair. And so I'm not vindictive or anything like that. But I care about this school. I trust their management team. And if they don't have a CEO today, they will pick a good CEO. And I know some of the people that might be interested. And I trust the fact that I would take my grandkid into that school and be confident that they would receive a good public education. You have to do what you have to do. I was at the hearings when you guys got reaffirmed. I've been a loyal tax vote. I stand up where I stand up, and I stand up for global. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones.
Okay, it's time for the other registered speakers. The first group of 5, May Frida Watt.